Yeah, no question. All right, let's talk about the card that we're working this weekend, which is terrific from top to bottom. I talked about this earlier this week, that one of the hallmarks of these Riyadh season cards is that you do get a lot of fights that could be main events on their own on the undercard. And we've got that, and we're going to get into a few of them. But let's talk about the top of the bill, which is the cruiserweight unification fight with Gilberto Ramirez and Billam-Smith. To a U.S. audience, Zerto is well-known, former super middleweight champion, contender at 175, lost to Dimitri Bivol in his lone shot at a championship. Now he moves up in weight. And every time I look at Zerto now, Sergio, I'm like, how the hell did he get down to 168 as recently as, 4 years ago? It's crazy. Even getting down to 175, 25 pounds lighter. He is a big dude, 6'3", probably walking around Saudi Arabia at 210, 215 as he starts that kind of final weight cut. He's going up against a guy that has been a career-long cruiserweight in Billam-Smith, making the third defense of his WBO title. Being around these guys this week, what have you noticed? What have your takeaways been from Zerto and Billam-Smith?
That Zurdo is a big, strong, handsome dude. Anywhere he walks around,
There's no need to add handsome to it. That's a little weird.
There is, because he's charismatic. He doesn't have to talk, but he tries to talk English now, and he has that charming little
you just like his
personality. I love his hair. He looks like a member of Menudo, like the whole boy band back in the day. He's just like when he walks, certain people have that aura. He has it, so you just turn his way. It's his height, it's his wide shoulders, it's his hair, and people are watching. And with Billam-Smith, he's a good looking dude too. By the way, he's a lot bigger though. So
why do you keep talking about their looks?
What? Because I'm comfortable in my masculinity, Mannix. Okay. I could say you're not good looking. I'm not good looking, but somehow I do well.
Okay, that's a little weird, but go ahead.
But Zurdo Ramirez is a big guy, but then you look at Billam-Smith next to him. It's like, whoa, that guy's big. That guy's muscular. He looks like a bodybuilder. That guy, he looks like a member of the Expendables, like one of those actors in the movie, because he's muscular. He's a big guy. He has a chiseled jaw. He looks like a superhero.
Looks like John Cena, if we're being honest.
There you go. He's perfectly said. And he carries himself very, very. Now I know why they call him the gentleman. He carries himself so classy. He says all the right things. And he's a killer in the ring. He's always going for the knockout, strong puncher. And the more I study him, the more I realize, I could see why, the UK is backing this guy. He redeemed his only loss. He's won all of his fights. He beat Okoli. All right, now I can understand why they think he has a chance against Ramirez. But I've been watching Ramirez since he was 168, and I've been following his career, calling his fights, and I know how good he is with those body shots on the inside, and I know how good he got on the outside, jabbing, moving around with his legs. I don't think CBS doesn't have that extra gear. He doesn't have that extra talent, so that's where he's going to run into problems. He's going to get popped on the outside and the inside. I just think he gets hit with uppercuts and body shots. He doesn't move his head, man. When you watch CBS is Billam-Smith, by the way. Yeah. Is that an acronym?
It is.
Or is it initials?
It's an acronym. I mean, I guess it's both, technically.
Okay, well, initials. I want to get it right. So CBS, he leaves his head in the same place. His feet are slow. They're like cement feet. He doesn't have any kind of agility. So whenever he misses a punch, he falls off balance. I just don't see any athleticism to him. Now, if you stand in front of him, yes, he's dangerous. If Zurdo Ramirez gets against the ropes, then Smith is being successful. Then he has an opportunity. But I don't think Zurdo's going to be against the ropes. I think he's going to keep the fight in the middle of the ring, popping him just like he did against Gulomirian.
Yeah, one of the fights that Zurdo's team has talked about studying this week of Billam-Smith was his fight against Mateusz Masternak. I think I'm saying his first name correctly. That was a fight that Billam-Smith won by knockout, but it was a fight that he was getting touched. And they believe that Zurdo...
He was getting out-boxed. He was getting out-touched. He was getting out-maneuvered. Everything. Right. He was losing that fight.
Right. So they believe that that's a style that can work for Gilberto Ramirez. Basically, the message has been like, you saw that fight against Gulomirian. probably not going to fight the exact same way. That fight was kind of a fight in the phone booth, fight on the inside. You're probably going to see more of Zurdo the boxer in this fight coming up. But the confidence in Ramirez's team, and this came up at the press conference on Thursday because, frankly, I brought it up. But it came up on Thursday that Malik Scott, who has done some interviews, part of Team Ramirez, a welcome addition there, he has said that Gilberto Ramirez is levels above Chris Billam-Smith in terms of skill. And you saw Billam-Smith, Ben Shalom, Shane McGuigan. They didn't take that all too well. A little bit of bulletin board material provided by Malik Scott. Do you believe that? Do you believe that he's levels above skill-wise?
At least one level, yes. I don't know about multi-levels. And that one level is agility. Yes, I see that because we've seen Zurdo impress us with how he's a big dude, right? And you think he's a big, clumsy guy.
He's big, but he's not as big as Billam-Smith. Like, Billam-Smith is a full-fledged cruiserweight.
Yes, but he's still a big guy, and he's always been a flat-footed, come-forward volume puncher, Ramirez. Mm-hmm. And then once he moved up to cruiserweight, and when he fought Joe Smith, Joe Smith broke his rib. Ramirez told us that. He said,
we didn't know that. Yeah,
we didn't know that. He broke his rib and he hurt Zurdo. And Joe Smith is a light heavyweight. We know he has cement in both hands, but that fight was in a catchweight, I think it was, or cruiserweight.
No, that was a cruiserweight fight. It's just that both those guys, had been light heavyweights.
All right, so that wasn't even a natural cruiserweight, and he was able to break his ribs and hurt him. But Joe Smith hurts anything he touches. When it comes to Smith, he doesn't have that crushing power, I would say, as Smith, but he has heavy hands where he will pummel you down. It won't take more than 2 shots. Like the first right hand he lands was definitely going to hurt you, and the second one will put you down. But he doesn't have that Joe Smith power where he'll just take one punch to put you down. It's 2 different types of power. And Zurdo, since he's been moving so much, I don't think he's going to stay in front of him to get hit with 2 shots. So, yes, it will be a physical fight. Yes, I could expect Smith to have successful moments, maybe even see Zurdo buzzed, but he'll be smart enough and agile enough to box and let the cobwebs go away, boxing, sticking and moving, grappling and gripping in the inside, and then letting the bell ring and going on to the next round.
All right, let's talk about the co-main event of this fight. Jose Ramirez against Arnold Barboza Jr. This is a fight, Sergio, that probably should have happened like 10 years ago. For a long time, these two guys were top-ranked stablemates. They were both contenders at 140 pounds. For a shorter period of time, they had the same manager. So the fact that we're just getting this fight now in 2024 is a little strange. But here we are. Both these guys still 2 top guys trying to get back into the world title mix. I thought it was interesting this week that this event or this fight was downgraded from a 12-round world title eliminator to a 10-round non-title eliminator fight. Now, Barboza said he's the one that asked for it because he feels like he's been in that WBO pipeline for so long. He's been paying sanctioning fees for so long that he doesn't want to keep doing it when he's not getting his mandatory world title shot. Ramirez's team, they'll tell you, this is tactical, that Barboza thinks that Ramirez is the stronger fighter in the later rounds, and he wants to shorten the fight to give himself a better chance to win. I tend to believe the Ramirez side on this one.
I tend to believe Barboza's. See, everyone thinks that me and you constantly disagree because, we want to do that just for the show. I don't agree with you.
Okay.
I don't agree with you, and I'm going to tell you why. Arnold Barboza, I don't know him that well, even though we're from the same area. I don't know him that well. I got to know him in the fighter meetings. I text with him here and there because I exchanged numbers with him after the fight we called with Macomb, and he wanted to pick my brain on what he can do better. He says, hey, man, I appreciate your criticism. I'm going to be training maybe for my next fight. You can come in and give me some pointers. That never happened because I didn't want to, step on toes and think that I'm playing favoritism. Plus, he was training in Big Bear, and I didn't want to drive up there.
I was just going to say that.
But I do respect the kid inside and outside the ring because, look, he's a hell of a fighter. He has a decent resume. If you look into the resume, it's a decent, it's very good. It's not like, okay, he just got polished up and he's an undefeated fighter.
He's got some names on there. A lot of those names, though,
even
on
though
the
they're
back
faded,
end.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. He has some names. He has some quality wins. That Alex Salcedo,
Alex Salcedo, yeah. Which was the last fight of Salcedo's career.
I just watched that fight this morning, man. That was a grueling fight, physical fight. Both of them got beat up that fight. I didn't know he had that toughness in him. So this is what I'm getting to. I thought all this time Barboza was a boxer, not a puncher. You see his knockout ratio, it's not that high. And he's really good on his feet, with the straight punches and the straight right hand. And then I seen him fight in that fight with Salcido. I'm like, dude, this guy has balls. This guy has heart. He could take a punch. And he can keep coming. So now I seen that side. I'm like, I go from favoring Ramirez and the experience that he has, the better resume, and I think he's a better fighter ultimately. But now I'm believing and becoming a fan of Barboza, of what he thinks he's gonna do and how hungry he is for his opportunity. So yes, I think that's gonna be one of the many fights on this card that's just gonna be fireworks, man. I don't know who's gonna win.
So just to address the change in the number of rounds and the status of that fight, generally speaking, I'm with you on not paying sanctioning fees. Like Arnold Barboza has been paying sanctioning fees for a while now, has not gotten a mandatory world title shot. Like why?
If it was a real championship, then you have to pay.
I agree, but
if it's an interim, a super, a medium, a diamond, no, bullshit. Don't be paying.
I'm with you on that one. My question is, why did it take until fight week to make that decision?
Because this is the biggest fight of his career. So
right, but this has been talked about as an eliminator for months. Like, why not say back at the opening press conference that we were at in LA? Like, I'm not gonna pay sanctions for it now. The timing of it to me was a little strange. And look, the reality is, if you look at these two fighters, the guy that gets better in the later rounds is Jose Ramirez.
Yes, that's true.
He has an ability to break you down over the course of a fight. So those championship rounds, like 11 and 12, probably Jose Ramirez is better off having those championship rounds. So I think it's. I'm agreeing more with the side of Ramirez there, that it's more of a tactical decision. All that being said, it is an incredibly competitive fight. And I think it comes down to which of these two fighters has something left, because both of them are coming off pretty bad wins, right? The Barboza win over Sean McComb was awful. You can say he wasn't as prepared as he should have been. You can say he thought he was going to fight Devin Haney. That was on the undercard. Remember, he was basically the fill-in guy in case Ryan Garcia went too far off the deep end. Sean McComb fought a pretty good fight, tactical fight.
I was going to say, you better give McComb some
credit. He moved around the ring a lot. He
boxed good. He had the right game plan.
Boxed well. So that was the last Barboza performance. The last Ramirez performance wasn't very good either.
No,
Francis Bartholomew, got a lot off on Jose Ramirez early on in that fight. Jose has said, look, that's because I have not been active. I've only fought one time per year, basically over the last 4 or 5 years. He chalked it up to that. To me, the winner of this fight is going to come down to who has more left in the tank, because both these guys have been around for a pretty long time. Jose Ramirez, a former unified champion. Barboza never won a championship, but like you said, has fought some names and fought for a long time. Which of these two guys do you think has more left in the tank?
Barboza has more left in the tank, and I think it's going to come down to punch resistance as well. Who takes a better shot? Both these guys get clipped often. Ramirez didn't respond that well when Bartholomew hit him. Bartholomew does have some pop, and he was catching him from that southpaw stance. He was a switch hitter. So if you're not prepared, if you're going in a fight thinking you're going to fight an orthodox fight, and then he turns southpaw and hits you with the left hand from on the opposite side of your jaw that you weren't expecting, it's going to buzz you a little bit different. So I understand Ramirez there, but with Barboza, he gets hit often. So I'm gonna favor Barboza on this one. I think he takes the slightly better punch, and Ramirez is a better distance fighter. That's why this is such an intriguing matchup. I'm still gonna favor Barboza, man. I love what I've been seeing. I love the hunger. I like the footwork. I think he has better footwork and in and out style, better straight punches. But yes, if it gets down and dirty to the later rounds, it's gonna be all Ramirez.
Yeah, I think Ramirez has a little more left. I think Ramirez is an overall better fighter. I think when they get into the ring, you talked.
But do you think he's a better boxer? I agree.
No,
with
I think Barboza's a little bit of a better boxer.
And there's our disagreement.
Yeah, but I think the physicality of Ramirez is going to play a factor here. I think
in the later rounds,
because Ramirez does get knockouts in the later rounds. You saw that against Richard Comey. You saw that. Did he knock out Bartholomew? I forget. I'm blanking right now. No, but he won those later rounds. I think he's going to have success in the second half. of this fight. I say that not all that short, because we saw Ramirez this week. I didn't think he looked all that great. I think getting down to 140 is more challenging for Ramirez than it is for Arnold Barboza. But you mentioned last week with Bam and your favorite fighter Pedro Guevara, like when they got into the ring, when they got into the ring together, Bam was a lot bigger. I think when these two guys get into the ring, you're going to see a pretty good size difference with Jose Ramirez, who's a big, tall, 140 pounder.
Not pretty good. He's going to have an exceptional size advantage.
Yeah.
I sized him up at the fighter meeting, and he was drawn. He didn't look. He looked gaunt. He looked like he was suffering to make weight, but he looked muscular still. I told him, I go, hey man, you look more muscular. I've been lifting weights, and he didn't respond. So I guess he didn't. But he looked muscular. He looked better in this fight, in this weigh-in, than he did in the last one. But yes, he still looked dehydrated.
I didn't think he looked good, man.
Barboza didn't look all that good either. He looked drawn as well.
Both these guys are basically career-long 140s, which is crazy because they're now, I think, both in the 30s.
Both of them are in the 30s, and this is what I was about to say. That's when the weight starts hitting your face, like their cheekbones start protruding more because you're older now. You have less muscle fat in your face. In your structure, you don't look as bulky anymore. You lose muscle tissue the older you get. So that's the reason they look drawn like that. And it's not that they're struggling to make weight. I really I meant when I said Ramirez looked good as far as his body. His face didn't look all that good, but I'm accustomed to seeing dehydrated athletes like that. So I think he's going to be the way bigger fighter once they rehydrate. It's going to be like a middleweight, or maybe even a super middleweight against a welterweight once they get inside the ring.
All right, let's talk about the 135-pound fight on this card. William Zepeda going up against Tevin Farmer. This is another one where there's some weirdness around the circumstances of this fight. It is a 10-round fight, but it is for the interim WBC title. This is because, the WBC went to... Apparently, this is what I was told. The WBC wanted to sanction this fight as an interim title. It was scheduled to be a 10-round fight. Tevin Farmer wasn't interested in doing a 12-round fight when they tried to rejigger some of the contracts, but the WBC approved a 10-round fight as a interim title fight. Whatever. They want to mess with their rules as it goes along, whatever. But it is, I think, a really interesting fight. Because Tevin Farmer, we know, familiar name at 130. And Tevin Farmer is coming into this fight with an enormous amount of confidence. Like, he's of the belief, Sergio, that William Zepeda has never fought someone on his level. Now, I disagree with that. I think William Zepeda has fought some decent fighters. But Tevin Farmer, who believes he won that fight against Raymond Muritaya, who believes he's better at 135 than he was at 130, who believes that the long layoff that he had between the Jojo Diaz fight and when he eventually made his comeback is only going to help him. He believes that he's in the mix here. What do you think?
I had to look up the word rejigger. It is a word.
Yes.
To govern and rule. Okay. Never heard of it. Okay. He's from Philadelphia. That's why. Philadelphia guys have big mouths. New York fighters have big mouths. And certain parts of the country, especially East Coast fighters, they love to talk, man. That's just how they are. West Coast fighters are a lot different. They don't do their talking. They do most of the talking in the ring. So that's just part of the... It's not that they're trying to convince you, and it's not that they're trying to promote the fight. That's exactly how they'll be at home or in the gym or anywhere else. That's their swag. That's their confidence. So, I don't take what he says serious, but I like the fact that he's trying to convince himself. I think that not convince himself. I think he really believes himself. I really think Tevin Farmer thinks he's the goods. I think he's the goods too as a boxer. As a fighter, that's what we have the questions about. Zepeda's going to keep coming. He's going to
100 punches around.
He's going to test his heart. He's going to test his skill. He's going to test his age, his ability, his hunger. He's going to test them every fucking round. Farmer's going to do well. Mark my words, he's going to do well. But when it comes time to keeping this buzzsaw off you, what are you going to offer instead of just moving, popping that jab, and occasionally throwing the left hand? Because he doesn't throw enough punches to keep a guy that's throwing 100 punches around off you. So we're all intrigued, but he's definitely talking the talk. we're gonna have to see how he walks the walk. He's gonna have to get the respect of Zepeda to the body. He's not gonna hurt him up here. All right, the Mexican takes a big shot upstairs.
I disagree with that. Like, we've seen Zepeda knocked down before by a headshot. Remember that fight in Tijuana? We have seen him
glancing type blow.
But like I have seen him wobbled a little bit before. Like when Jojo Diaz fought him, the few times that Jojo threw with him, he had limited success. Like it was an overall wipeout, but he had limited success in that fight. I don't think Zepeda's chin is as sturdy as you think it is.
And Tevin Farmer thinks that William Zepeda's power is not what we think it is.
Well, that's to me nuts.
No, he made a good point. He says, look, man, he doesn't have real power. He says that Murataya punches harder.
Yeah, but
than Zepeda.
That's not the point, though.
Hold on. He says something intriguing, and he made sense. He goes, he breaks fighters down. It's not that he's hurting them with one punch.
Agreed.
He's hitting them there, hitting them here, breaking them down, testing their soul. And then these guys don't know how to handle it under pressure. And then he said something I really liked. He goes, these guys don't know how to breathe under pressure. I don't know if you caught that. I love that line because whenever you're being attacked by someone like that, the main thing you have to do is stay calm and then breathe and clinch. And then when you do get buzzed and hit by a shot, that's when you got to breathe, man. You got to breathe. You got to relax. You just got to use the time. You got to move. Tevin Farmer is a master at that. All right. So then that right there made me think, all right, see, this guy does know he's going to get hurt. He's going to know he's going to have to control his composure, his stamina, and control his breathing, or else this guy's going to keep coming and break him down like he breaks everyone else down. I loved hearing that by Farmer.
Okay, but what is Tevin Farmer's path to victory? Tevin doesn't throw a lot of punches.
There's none. I don't think there is.
Okay.
I just think he goes into the later rounds, and I'm the only one saying this.
He's going to go the distance, what you said.
I think he goes into the later rounds, maybe even the distance.
What is that?
Maybe even the distance. I think he has success.
You are fudging because initially you said distance.
I said over.
All right, well, that's...
What's over under on that?
I don't know, but...
What's over under on that?
It's a 10-round fight, so I don't know what the over.
It's probably, what, 8.5?
Something like that,
All
maybe.
right, well, I'll take the over.
Okay, well... I'm looking at paths to victory here, and I don't see one for Tevin Farmer. I don't think he throws enough punches. He has not shown in his career he has enough power. He believes he won that fight against Murataya. I don't think so. I didn't think there was any controversy.
You think it's going to be a 3-round fight?
No, I don't think a 3-round fight. I think 5th, 6th round. I think Tevin's slick. He's going to, do things and show things that Zepeda's never seen before. Even, Zepeda's trainer, we brought it up to him. Like he tends to agree with you that it is going to be a tricky fight for Zepeda. But Zepeda, when he fights boxers, he tends to break them down. He gets them eventually. And look, when Tevin brings up guys like Jojo Diaz, who he fought, and Jono Carroll, who he fought, and likens them to Zepeda, I just kind of got to roll my eyes a little bit because neither one of those guys is anything close to what Zepeda
when
is.
Don't you roll your eyes when when someone doesn't disagree with you? That's just you.
But do you think there's any similarities between Jojo?
No, there's not. But they're southpaws and they're
volume punchers.
They're volume punching, highly skilled southpaws.
But now they kind of pop behind it.
Another thing that I appreciated by Tevin Farmer.
Why are you touching my leg?
To get your attention and tell you to shut up. He flew Jono Carroll to Saudi Arabia, man.
No, not to Saudi Arabia, I don't think. I think he flew him to his camp. I don't know if he flew him to Saudi Arabia.
No, man. He said he flew him here.
Did he fly him to Saudi Arabia?
Yes, I got it in my notes, Chris.
Okay.
Mannix,
I know he said, I had it. I said he worked with Jono Carroll. I didn't know he flew him here.
He flew him to Saudi, from London to Saudi over here to get some sparring. I think they only did 1 or 2 sessions, but still, I love that. Mm. He paid for his ticket. He paid him some money. He respected the fact that Jono gave him some damn good work, kept coming. And he needed to get acclimated here sparring in Riyadh. That just shows you that he's invested in winning this fight. This is why I continue saying it, and I'm gonna say it again. It's gonna be a difficult fight for Zepeda.
I don't disagree with that. I do think that he's underestimating the power of Zepeda. We just called that fight with Maxie Hughes, and Maxie Hughes is not a pushover. Maxie Hughes is a good boxer in his own right, has some decent wins in his own right, and Zepeda mowed him down, Sergio. He mowed him down. Like, maybe it doesn't happen the same way with Tevin Farmer, but I got to believe him get to the 5th or 6th rounds, and he's down like 4 rounds to 1 or 5 rounds to none, whatever it may be, that the mental part of it kind of goes. Like, that's what Zepeda does. He breaks you down mentally.
Power doesn't intimidate boxers, all right? Boxers shut down power with angles, with movement, taking away the power from them, being able to just roll with a shot, being able to smother and the power. Look at Pernell Whitaker. He wasn't a power puncher. He's a southpaw. He's a slickster, just like Tevin Farmer. Farmer has little flashes of some Pernell in him. He was able to handle some of the biggest power punchers in the history of boxing. And he did it like silky smooth, man. I mean, we're talking about an all-time great, maybe the greatest boxer, one of the greatest boxers. Tevin Farmer's not cut from he's not him, but he's cut from that southpaw cloth. He knows how to fight like a slick southpaw, and he knows how to do all the little tricks that a sweepy used to do. So he's gonna roll the power off. All the heavy shots we're accustomed to seeing Zepeda land, and the heaviness of the thump when they're hitting the arms. You're not gonna see and hear that often with Tevin Farmer. Not in the first half of the fight, maybe in the second half of the fight where he starts wearing down. But it's not gonna be a one-sided fight.
Here's my last question. When are you and Darren Barker going to get in the ring?
Darren, I'm telling you right now, I will fight you right now inside the ring in a 6-round fight exhibition in the UK, in your hometown, at any weight division you want, and then we can commentate our fight afterwards.
Mora Barker in 2025. I love it.
Let's do it, mate.